Do you remember the first time Wolverine unsheathed his claws in X-Men? It felt like the birth of a new generation of superheroes. But once the cameras stopped rolling, the real battles were only beginning. One star built a fortune worth over $100 million. Another survived cancer twice, while heartbreaking loss changed several lives forever. When you know what really happened, you won't watch the movie the same. Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman was only 32 when he landed the role of Logan after Dougray Scott was forced to leave X-Men because of scheduling conflicts. As Wolverine, Jackman perfectly captured the lonely mutant with unbreakable metal claws and an untamed fighting instinct. The role turned him into a global superstar, but behind his powerful physique was a brutal reality. Producers reportedly required him to stop drinking water for 36 to 48 hours before shirtless scenes so every muscle would stand out on camera, pushing his body into dangerous levels of dehydration. That constant physical strain eventually caught up with him. In 2013, Jackman was diagnosed with basal cell carcinoma on his nose, beginning a long battle that has involved multiple painful surgeries. Even by 2026, he continues to undergo regular medical checkups. Years of pushing his body to maintain Wolverine's legendary physique placed enormous stress on his immune system, turning life behind the cameras into an ongoing fight for his health. The health struggles were only part of the story. In 2023, Jackman shocked fans by ending his 27-year marriage to Deborah Lee Furness, triggering intense media attention and one of the most difficult emotional chapters of his life. Public scrutiny only intensified after he began a relationship with Broadway star Sutton Foster. Their red carpet appearance together at the 2026 Met Gala instantly made headlines, placing Jackman under enormous public pressure as he rebuilt his personal life in his late 50s. By 2026, Hugh Jackman is 58 years old and continues to prove why he remains one of the world's most versatile and beloved stars despite the emotional and physical battles he has endured. A Golden Globe, an Oscar nomination for Les Miserables, and his Tony Award-winning career have secured a legacy that few actors will ever match, allowing him to remain one of Hollywood's most enduring icons. Rebecca Romijn, supermodel. Rebecca Romijn stepped into the role of Raven Darkholme, better known as Mystique, the seductive blue shapeshifter and Magneto's most loyal right hand when she was 27 years old. Her performance made her one of the most unforgettable faces of the first X-Men film and brought her a major paycheck. But behind Mystique's striking appearance was a brutal physical transformation. Romijn had to spend 8 to 9 hours a day nearly naked while artists applied silicone pieces and sprayed blue paint directly onto her body, exposing her to chemical burns and toxic materials for the sake of the role. That transformation came at a price. Years of wearing the blue body paint and prosthetics reportedly left her dealing with chronic skin allergies, a weakened immune system, and long-lasting physical discomfort. The very look that made Mystique iconic also became one of the hardest physical sacrifices of Romijn's career. Off-screen, life brought another kind of battle. After releasing her personal memoir, Romijn opened up about the painful and suffocating parts of her former marriage to John Stamos, which ended in divorce in 2005. The media storm around those revelations, combined with the pressure placed on women over 50 in Hollywood, pushed her through a period of intense stress and mild depression. In 2026, at 54 years old, Rebecca Romijn has built a strong emotional shield around the life she has today. She now finds peace with her husband, actor Jerry O'Connell, and their twin daughters. With a healthier lifestyle and a more stable mindset, her health has gradually improved, allowing her to keep shining through successful television projects like Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, Ugly Betty, and The Librarians. Famke Janssen. After capturing audiences as the unforgettable Bond villain in GoldenEye, 1995, Famke Janssen landed the role of Jean Grey at 35 years old. She portrayed the brilliant and compassionate telepath whose incredible powers would eventually unleash the terrifying Phoenix. The role made the Dutch actress an international star and helped turn the X-Men franchise into a billion-dollar success. Yet behind the scenes, Janssen later spoke openly about Hollywood's tendency to exploit and over-sexualize female actors on screen. The pressures of Hollywood soon spilled into her personal life. The same year X-Men was released, her marriage to director Todd Williams came to an end after years of growing apart. Following the divorce, Janssen chose to remain single and made the personal decision not to have children, focusing instead on protecting her independence in one of the world's most competitive industries. As she entered her 60s, Janssen faced another challenge shared by many actresses: Hollywood's growing problem with ageism. As leading roles for older women became increasingly limited, she refused to wait for opportunities to come to her. Instead, she reinvented herself by expanding into writing and directing, creating new opportunities rather than relying on the traditional studio system. By 2026, at 62 years old, Famke Janssen continues to live life on her own terms while maintaining excellent health through a disciplined lifestyle. Although she appears less frequently in major blockbusters, she has built a lasting legacy through projects such as the Taken films, Nip Tuck, and How to Get Away with Murder, proving that true talent can outlast changing trends in Hollywood. Patrick Stewart. At 60 years old, Patrick Stewart was personally chosen by director Bryan Singer to play Professor Charles Xavier, the wise telepath who guided young mutants toward peace instead of revenge. His commanding voice and dignified presence made him the perfect Professor X, earning him worldwide recognition through the X-Men franchise. Behind the scenes, however, Stewart and Halle Berry reportedly confronted Singer about his behavior in an effort to protect the younger cast members. Years of carrying that emotional strain, combined with an incredibly demanding career, gradually took a toll on his health. Stewart has lived with chronic heart disease, undergoing emergency coronary angioplasty in 2004, while severe arthritis has increasingly limited his mobility as he has grown older. Together, those conditions have made even everyday activities far more challenging than they once were. Today, Stewart has shown little interest in slowing down. He continues to take on demanding projects, including Amazon's comedy series Bait in 2026 and voice work for The Sheep Detectives, despite the physical exhaustion that often follows such busy schedules. For Stewart, continuing to work has never been just about acting. It's about preserving the career and legacy he spent a lifetime building. In 2026, Patrick Stewart is 86 years old and enjoying a quieter life with his wife, singer Sunny Ozell, who is 38 years younger than he is. Although age and illness have left their mark, the real-life Professor X remains one of the most respected figures in entertainment, with an extraordinary legacy that stretches from Star Trek to multiple Olivier Awards and one of the most celebrated careers in modern acting. Ian McKellen. Ian McKellen joined X-Men at 61 years old after reuniting with director Bryan Singer, following their successful collaboration on Apt Pupil, 1998. He brought Magneto to life as the powerful master of magnetism whose deep hatred of humanity was rooted in the trauma of surviving the Holocaust. As one of Hollywood's first openly gay leading actors, McKellen fought to preserve that emotional backstory, helping transform Magneto into one of the most complex and unforgettable villains in superhero history. But decades of giving everything to the stage and screen eventually took a heavy toll on his body. In June 2024, McKellen suffered a frightening accident when he fell off the stage during a performance of Player Kings. The fall left him with spinal injuries and serious muscle damage, forcing the veteran actor to live with persistent pain whenever he moved. Even after doctors urged him to slow down, McKellen refused to consider retirement at 87. Instead, he continued accepting demanding projects, including preparations for a new The Lord of the Rings film. His decision has worried friends and family, but for McKellen, continuing to perform is a price he's willing to pay if it means dedicating every remaining year to the craft he loves. By 2026, at 87 years old, Ian McKellen is enjoying a quiet life in the United Kingdom while remaining proudly independent. Although age and injury have left their mark, the real-life Magneto continues to stand among Hollywood's greatest legends. His remarkable legacy, from his Oscar-nominated performance as Gandalf to his Tony and Olivier Award-winning stage career, has secured a place in film history that time can never erase. Halle Berry. At 33 years old, Halle Berry transformed Storm into one of the most powerful figures in the X-Men universe, a fearless mutant who could command the weather and became the emotional heart of the team's first generation of heroes. The role brought her worldwide fame, a major Hollywood paycheck, and helped propel her toward history when she became the first, and still the only, Black woman to win the Academy Award for Best Actress for Monsters Ball, 2001. But as her career reached new heights, her personal life became increasingly turbulent. Behind the cameras, Berry endured years of exhausting legal battles with former partners Gabriel Aubry and Olivier Martinez. Bitter custody disputes and costly court-ordered financial obligations drained both her energy and her peace of mind, leaving emotional scars that lasted for years. Beyond the emotional struggles, Berry has also spent decades managing type 1 diabetes, a condition she has lived with since she was 22. Then, during 2025 and 2026, she faced another major health challenge when severe perimenopause symptoms were initially misdiagnosed as herpes, prolonging her physical pain and frustration. Rather than staying silent, Berry turned that experience into a mission, becoming one of the leading public voices advocating for better health care and awareness of menopause for women around the world. Today, at 60 years old, she has found greater balance alongside her longtime partner, musician Van Hunt, while continuing to inspire audiences with the strength, beauty, and resilience that have defined her extraordinary career. James Marsden. James Marsden was 26 years old when he stepped into the role of Scott Summers, better known as Cyclops, the disciplined leader of the X-Men whose devastating optic blasts forced him to hide his eyes behind a special visor at all times. Despite acting through much of the film without the audience ever seeing his eyes, Marsden's expressive performance made Cyclops one of the franchise's most beloved heroes. Yet his dedication was met with one of the biggest disappointments of his career. That setback came when Cyclops was abruptly killed off at the beginning of X-Men: The Last Stand, a decision widely linked to Marsden accepting a role in Superman Returns for director Bryan Singer at rival studio Warner Brothers. Losing such a major role so suddenly stalled his momentum in Hollywood and left him struggling to regain his footing for several years. That professional setback was followed by personal heartbreak. In 2011, his marriage to Lisa Linda ended after years of growing apart, adding even more pressure during a difficult period in his career. But Marsden refused to give up. In 2026, at 53 years old, he has completed an impressive comeback through acclaimed projects, including Enchanted, Westworld, Dead to Me, and the blockbuster Sonic the Hedgehog films. Today, he enjoys a healthy, balanced life with his longtime girlfriend, singer Ade, proving that perseverance can be just as powerful as any superhero ability. Anna Paquin. At just 18 years old, Anna Paquin played Marie, a young mutant cursed with the power to absorb another person's life force and memories through skin-to-skin contact. Even though Paquin had already won an Oscar at only 11 for The Piano, she still had to face the toxic working environment under director Bryan Singer. She was reportedly pushed into action scenes without proper protection, suffering a bleeding injury before older cast members stepped in to help. That harsh experience, along with the physical strain she endured at a young age, became part of the painful story behind her health struggles. In 2024, Paquin shocked fans when she appeared on the red carpet using a cane and revealed that she was battling a mysterious long-term illness affecting her nervous system. The condition weakened her mobility and made walking and speaking more difficult, forcing her to scale back her acting work by 2026. Her physical battle soon turned into an emotional one. While fighting the illness, Paquin also had to protect her family life with her husband, Stephen Moyer, her True Blood co-star, and their twin children. The pressure of long-term medical treatment, combined with the emotional weight of the disease, placed a heavy burden on both her mind and her finances. Now, Anna Paquin is 44 years old and continues to hold a respected place in Hollywood. From her childhood Oscar for the piano to her Golden Globe-winning success in True Blood, her career remains a powerful legacy. Through every setback, she has turned pain into inner strength, protecting her family and proving that even when life feels impossible, she is still in control of her own story. Shawn Ashmore. Few actors have ever turned a small supporting role into a career-defining breakthrough quite like Shawn Ashmore. Just 20 years old when X-Men premiered in 2000, the young Canadian actor won audiences over as Bobby Drake, better known as Iceman, the cheerful mutant who could freeze anything in his path and shield himself with solid ice. Fans responded so strongly to Bobby's innocent romance with Rogue that the studio expanded his role in the sequels, transforming an unknown newcomer into one of the franchise's signature young heroes while giving him a steady income from one of Hollywood's biggest blockbuster series. But finding success so early also came with an unexpected cost. As the years passed, Ashmore found himself competing against a new generation of younger actors, and major film opportunities became increasingly scarce. Like many stars closely identified with one iconic franchise, he gradually shifted toward lower-budget television, voice acting, and motion capture work for independent video games in order to keep his career moving and provide financial stability. The uncertainty of the industry soon became an emotional burden as well. While raising his son with his wife, Dana Renee Wasden, whom he married in 2012, Ashmore faced the constant pressure of supporting his family while accepting that the spotlight he once enjoyed had inevitably faded. It was a difficult adjustment, but one he chose to face with determination rather than bitterness. By 2026, at 47 years old, Shawn Ashmore enjoys a happy family life and remains in excellent health thanks to his disciplined lifestyle. Although he's no longer a regular face on blockbuster red carpets, he continues to prove his versatility through standout performances in the following: Amazon's hit series The Boys as Lamplighter and the acclaimed video game Quantum Break, showing that a lasting career isn't measured only by fame. Tyler Mane. Standing an imposing 6'9" former professional wrestler Tyler Mane hardly had to fight for the role of Sabretooth. At 33, his towering frame and wrestling background made him the perfect choice to play Magneto's savage right-hand man, a brutal mutant driven by raw strength and animal instinct. His intimidating screen presence helped deliver some of X-Men's most intense hand-to-hand battles with Wolverine, giving the film unforgettable action scenes while launching the Canadian wrestler into a successful Hollywood career. But years of taking brutal falls in WCW and performing demanding stunt work eventually caught up with him. By the age of 60, Mane was living with severe arthritis in his back and knees, forcing him to rely on ongoing physical therapy just to manage the pain. Those chronic injuries gradually reduced his mobility and ultimately ended his ability to take on physically demanding action roles. The physical pain was only part of the struggle. As the global entertainment industry slowed and production budgets tightened, the independent film company he had worked so hard to build faced increasing financial pressure. Keeping the business alive became another exhausting battle, bringing years of stress and uncertainty behind the scenes. In 2026, at 60 years old, Tyler Mane has found stability through the support of his wife, Renee Geerlings, whom he married in 2007. Although health problems have forced him to slow down, fans still celebrate him as one of horror's most unforgettable figures for his portrayal of Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's Halloween films, along with his role as Ajax in Troy, 2004. Thanks to years of steady work and careful financial planning, he now enjoys a comfortable life away from Hollywood's constant pressures. Bruce Davison. Veteran actor. Bruce Davison was 54 when he stepped into X-Men as Senator Robert Kelly, the fiercely anti-mutant politician whose terrifying genetic mutation led to one of the film's most unforgettable deaths. To create the shocking sequence in which Kelly's body appeared to dissolve into water, Davison spent hours submerged in tanks filled with artificial chemical liquids. The visual effect became one of the movie's highlights. But behind the scenes, it came at a painful cost, leaving his skin and eyes badly irritated from repeated exposure to the special effects materials. Those physically demanding productions, combined with decades of non-stop work, gradually took their toll. By the time he reached 80, Davison was living with serious age-related health problems, including high blood pressure and severe knee arthritis. The chronic pain limited his mobility and made everyday life increasingly dependent on ongoing medical care and treatment. As if the physical challenges weren't enough, age-related memory loss slowly began affecting his work as an actor. Memorizing scripts became far more difficult than it had once been, making stage performances an increasingly demanding experience for someone who had spent a lifetime devoted to the craft. By 2026, at 80 years old, Bruce Davison is enjoying a quieter chapter of life with his third wife, Michelle Corey, after 2 previous marriages ended in divorce. Despite the health challenges that come with age, he remains deeply respected throughout the industry for an extraordinary body of work, from his Golden Globe-winning performance in Longtime Companion to the cult horror classic Willard, 1971. His legacy continues to earn the admiration of audiences and fellow actors alike. Ray Park. Long before audiences knew him as Darth Maul, 25-year-old Ray Park brought the mutant Toad to life in the first X-Men film. His character was a strange, agile mutant with incredible acrobatic skills and an unnaturally long tongue, and Park performed many of the demanding fight scenes himself thanks to his world-class martial arts background. But behind the camera, the role exposed the harsh reality faced by many stunt performers. He spent hours under heavy prosthetic makeup, endured irritating chemicals being sprayed dangerously close to his eyes during special effects scenes, and received relatively modest pay despite the physical demands of the role. The challenges didn't end once filming wrapped. In 2020, Park became the center of a social media controversy after an explicit video was leaked online, severely damaging his public image. The incident quickly became a major setback, and as opportunities at major studios, including Disney, became increasingly limited, he found himself struggling with both financial uncertainty and intense emotional pressure that continued well into 2026. Years of performing high-impact stunts also left permanent marks on his body. The constant flips, falls, and fight choreography eventually resulted in chronic spinal problems, leaving him with persistent back pain that continues to affect his daily life. Much of that battle has taken place quietly, far from the spotlight that once made him famous. In 2026, at 52 years old, Ray Park has focused on protecting the peaceful life he has built with his wife, Lisa Park, and their 2 children. The support of his family has become his greatest source of strength, helping the former X-Men star overcome personal setbacks and move forward with dignity after one of the most difficult chapters of his life. Shawn Roberts. Shawn Roberts was just 16 years old when he played Cody, Rogue's high school boyfriend whose first kiss with her ended in tragedy when his life force was accidentally drained away. His good looks and natural screen presence immediately caught audiences' attention, but behind that early break into a major Hollywood blockbuster was a much harsher reality. However, Roberts entered an industry that offered little emotional guidance or protection. That lack of support during his early years became one of the biggest challenges of his career. Despite showing real promise, Roberts gradually found himself typecast in supporting roles across low-budget horror and action films. As the years passed, the relentless competition of Hollywood turned into an exhausting battle to stay relevant, leaving him struggling at times with his professional identity and wondering whether he would ever break into the industry's top tier. The frustration of never quite reaching A-list status eventually led Roberts to embrace a far more private lifestyle. By his early 40s, he had remained unmarried, choosing to focus almost entirely on his career and physical fitness. Weight training became more than a hobby. It became his way of managing stress while preparing himself for whatever opportunity Hollywood might still have to offer. By 2026, Shawn Roberts is 42 years old and remains in outstanding physical shape and continues to enjoy a loyal fan following. He built a lasting reputation through memorable performances as Albert Wesker in the Resident Evil franchise and in George A. Romero's Diary of the Dead. So that's a look back at the X-Men 2000 cast in 2026. While some became Hollywood legends, others faced heartbreaking losses, health battles, and life-changing challenges that few fans ever expected. Which cast member surprised you the most? And who was your favorite mutant? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Then and Now updates. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.